Hello, hello. How's it going, everybody? Did I trigger that? I didn't think I did. How's it going, everybody? We are doing file system stuff. Kind of in the vein of Tauri, not it. In some ways, yes. It's not a hard requirement though. Probably the first thing I think I want to look at is OPFS, the Open Private File System. It's a newer API, and I don't know that it's actually available in every in every browser. We'll have to double check on that. I'm not seeing the compatibility table here, but the thing that I want to look at is, in the context of Tauri, what does it look like to use one of these web browser file system APIs versus like a Tauri API or something through Rust? Like, what's the difference between these? But like dig into the difference between them, and kind of keeping in mind, if you want to deploy, say, an app that lives on at a like web address, and an app that is contained within Tauri, within like a Tauri app, which API makes sense versus does it make sense to use the browser API? Will that be cross compatible enough versus is it worth doing something in different APIs dependent on the context? So that's kind of going to be what we're diving into today. And we do have a little bit of a hard stop. Unfortunately, I got started a little bit late here, but we'll see what we can make happen. Thanks for stopping by again, Paul and Darth. Good to see you both. All right. First of all, I apparently forgot to change the setting, and YouTube is again angry at me for not using supported stream setting. I don't know. It seemed to work fine last time, so we're gonna roll with it. It's weird that yeah. Oh well, that's fine. Okay. Let's go ahead and pop over. We are looking at the OPFS. I do want to I think we spin up a Tauri app maybe for it. Tauri Playground. And as I'm saying this, we might actually have code up here that haven't gotten around to committing yet. So awkward. We'll spin off a branch real quick for that, I think. Yeah, advanced async commands. Okay, you need to restart. I don't like you. Showing up notifications all the time. Okay, so this is definitely just from the one stream. So we'll go ahead and just do a quick checkout. Advanced async commands, and we will do a. I mean, honestly, like, it's probably fine. And push that up so I do not forget about it. And we will go back to whatever the main branch is. Okay, let's make you a little bit bigger. And do I have my keybinds? No, I don't have keybinds set up on this yet. Okay, we will work with it. There. And also, like, My camera or my key light is still not turning. Here we go. Here we go. We got it. We got it. It's going to be bright potentially. And did it just turn itself off again? I probably don't need it, but there's a little bit of garble right there, which always bugs me. Oh well. Focus. All right, this should be pushed up. Target directory stuff. Okay, go away. Now, I think what we do is there's gonna be a couple potential gotchas here. We specifically want to look at this, but here, this is potentially going to be part of the issue. Only available in secure contexts. So it's going to be very specific about HTTPS. I don't know how it's going to work in our web view because it's not as specific about protocols. So we'll have to see. It might be fine. It might not. But that being said, there's also web workers, which I don't know that it would really make sense to do in the context of a Tauri app. And there are also a few caveats, such as they use temporary files, and that makes the operations fairly slow. So this can potentially be a way that somebody can save content to their system, but like the expectation is that I mean, this feels a little bit weird. Highly optimized for performance, but also operations are fairly slow. There is a note in here somewhere. This is not very long, so I've actually read through this, and we can drop it in here. This is if you're unfamiliar with this site, MDN from Mozilla, probably the best web resource out there, in my opinion. Hey Pelican, good to see you. So this is something that if we're thinking of file system in the context of data ownership, this might also not be an appropriate API because and this is kind of the same situation with the other like browser APIs, like local storage, IndexedDB. They're all kind of tied to the browser and like that instance, and it's got browser storage quota restrictions. So we can store stuff in the browser. It's technically on the file system, but it persists somewhere, but you can't expect the user to find it, basically. So it's in some sort of like temporary browser cache file type thing. It's not intended to be visible to the user. So all of these like browser specific APIs, they feel like they could potentially open up like at first glance, you know, if you're looking at these API docs from across the room, which first of all, why are you doing that? That's but also it kind of only feels like it's useful for a fancy cache. Honestly, like I don't want to have, or I don't want to enable a user to store data in a place where it might just accidentally disappear. And I think these APIs are like it's a spec. It's consistent across browsers, so it's not like just Chrome or just whatever. Darth, what is your favorite browser, anyways? Funny you asked that. Um, I'm kind of in the market for switching browsers. I'm not very good at keeping track of and clearing tabs. I'm going to start with that preface because in some ways that drives a lot of my decisions. The things that I'm looking for in a browser at the moment are the an experience that exists on multiple platforms. I use Mac, Windows, and Android daily. Um, Occasionally iOS as well. If my tabs are different on every platform, it makes it a lot harder for me to attempt to close them out and deal with them and maintain them. Um, I had been using I I used Chrome for a long time, and then more options came onto the scene, and also at the same time, it felt like Chrome wasn't really seeing attention, at least not in the way that I wanted it or appreciated. Um, so then I switched to Edge for a while, and honestly, Edge has been pretty decent, and that does have Mac, Windows, Android. You can you've been using Edge, you like the workspaces. I honestly don't know that I've used the workspaces. I might not have even known that they existed. Um, I'll have to look at that. But the like Edge was fine, and I could get to my tabs from different platforms, but they weren't synced. Like my tabs are different on every system. So the problem is like my tab count just continued to increase on every platform. And then I would, I'd be like looking at something on my phone, and then I would get distracted or something would come up or whatever, and I would have to set it down, and then I would forget about it. And then when I sit down on my computer, completely different context, and then it's just gone. I just never end up looking at it again. So I started like saving stuff into places, and that's still a little bit in process, and that's a whole separate subject. But that being said, like I would like the ability to sync, and I started to switch to Arc because Arc had some things that were interesting. I like the vertical. It was still Chromium, so like things should just generally work because apparently nobody writes code that works on Firefox anymore, or they don't actually test on Firefox. I feel like. Um, so it seemed neat, and I started getting into it, and they had just released the Arc for Android, and it hadn't quite got to the point where like my tabs were like syncing, but pieces of it were syncing, so I was okay with it. Um, and then it sounds like they are going a different direction, so that browser might be gone, or at least not getting any attention, which I don't know. In some ways, is the same. I'm not like immediately switching off or hard switching, but I'm open. I'm looking at things, and honestly, I am considering switching back to Firefox. I dropped Firefox when they did a whole bunch of layoffs, gutted the Rust team, and like dropped Servo. And if you don't have that context, uh, I'm interested in Servo, and we we being the Tauri team has trying to put energy into getting Servo back into a place where it can be used and potentially serve as an alternative web view. Ilgalia. Let's try that again. Ilgalia What is that right? Now I'm doubting myself. Here, we'll plug them. They do some real interesting work, and they specifically qualify themselves as an open source consultancy. Yeah, I knew what it was. I am just apparently failing to pronounce it right now. Igalia. I think it's one of those things that like I read it all the time, but I don't actually pronounce it out loud very often. So tripping up on my words there. But anyways, I really appreciate what they're doing. They seem to have figured out a like business model that supports the greater open source ecosystem, but also they still can pay their bills. So, good for them. They've been putting in a lot of energy in Servo. And I know a few folks that are also in the Tauri team have been able to spend some time on it too. So anyways, long story short, I dropped Firefox. I had used it for some time before, then stopped. And honestly, now I'm kind of considering reevaluating that decision. Well, not reevaluating, but like potentially going back to it. I'm still going to end up using Chrome. I've got like a work profile in Chrome. So like it's not going to be too painful to deal with the situations where Firefox isn't terribly well supported. So Darth, you said you keep a workspace just for coding and just one for your trading. So whatever you're working on is saved as its own thing. Yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. Most my personal coding doesn't end up taking up a whole ton of tabs, or it's like the thing I'm thinking about, so it's just all my tabs anyways. And then like I said, I use Chrome for work stuff, so I've got a separate Chrome profile already. You would use WaterFox back in the day. Is that in the same vein of like, have you heard of Zen? That's a newer one, I think, kind of on the scene. Basically, was it more of a skin? I don't think I ever tried WaterFox, but I vaguely recall hearing about it. So long story short, I don't know, and I'm open to suggestions, and I'm potentially looking at doing or going back into Firefox, at least for some of my browser use. All right, let's try this. I appreciate these new APIs, but also like maybe it'll be fine with localhost. Maybe we won't have an issue if it's in localhost, but having that as a requirement ends up being kind of painful sometimes. Let's put this over here, and we're gonna go like this. I also need to fix my window management here, but that is not going to be a now thing. Let's just spin up a Tauri app and let us moving everything around. I was literally like moving my whole camera before the stream started. It's an offshoot of Firefox more than a skin. Okay. What do we want to call this? Filesystem APIs. Sure, let's go with it. We'll do npm because that's what everything else is using. Yeah, sure. I might regret that, but it'll be fine for now. Trying to find my cursor on my other computer. Where'd it go? Actually, my gesture pad thing that I just tapped on might have died. Oh well. What was I saying? OPFS. Oh, I was moving my all my camera around and everything, so like I don't mind this view. It's working for me. But also like I have a hard time seeing this other monitor on the side. Oh well. Do we have this open already? Yeah, okay. So we've got that open. We're gonna reopen this actually. We've discussed this on previous streams, but the Tauri playground repo that I have is not really a monorepo. It's a more of a conglomerate of repositories. There's no like a root cargo.toml or anything like that. So if I open up Rust Analyzer in the root folder, it doesn't know what to do with that because there's no, it doesn't really think that's a root. So even though I've got all of these apps stored in there, none of them are actually like tied together in any way. So I end up usually just opening them up in VS Code in the actual folder for that app. And then you can see, well, I guess you can't see it because apparently my desk is in the way. Anyways, that's my desk is covering the Rust Analyzer running. Let's try this. I'm hesitant that any of this is going to work, but I'm hoping we could just copy one of these and give it a shot. Create a hierarchy. And this is like we probably want to dump this in a button or something like that. So I think we do an npm install, and then we run Tauri dev. With that, we can basically copy. While that's running, let's start copying stuff in here. We get our typical like do the thing. I'm gonna just remove all this and say let's make a button. Whoop. Okay, this. I've got a small keyboard that's kind of like in the way of where I want to put my keyboard. All right, button, and we'll say on click, and it will be firing off a file system action. Action sounds good. Let me know if this font size is too small. I think it's potentially fine, but also it's hard to get a good feel without. I don't know how much this is gonna matter, but we'll do that. It's hard to get a good feel of the you know, if the size of font is appropriate for the additional context. I like everything is switched up at this point. New monitor, new resolution. This is technically 4K with what you're looking at, but I'm streaming it in 1440p. I used to be streaming in 1080p for everything, but also I was on 1440p and streaming 1080p. It's a whole thing. All right, let's just loggy, howdy friends, and get something working here. Let's get rid of this, and all of you can go away. Welcome to the file system. Do in action. Sure, we'll roll with it. Okay, now that that is installed, we're gonna do an npm run Tauri dev, and let's see what it does. All right, where is my? Okay, There it is. There it is. Just double checking that I don't have a message that's. We potentially have a hard stop here, but I'm kind of keeping an eye on my messages to see if that changes. Okay. So I think what we do is we basically just copy these in here. So this here creates a hierarchy of files and folders. It's interesting that like the handles kind of spaces and everything. Let's go to the console here, and this looks, I feel like they updated this. That looks newish. Okay, so we've got something there. Get file handle. So if we call create true, I think it creates it by default if it doesn't exist. And then a folder handle. Get file handle, get directory handle. Okay. Let's try both of those. We're going to drop them in here. And then we're going to just log some bits out. So the thing to pay attention to here is, and also we need to, what's OPFS root? Where does that come from? Here we go. So that is also async. All right, so I guess I need to do this. OPFS root, get file handle. So we have a file handle to this. We can log out. I don't know. I guess we'll go like that. We'll just, after everything, we can just log out stuff and look at it. Then we have a directory handle. So this is getting a handle to a directory, and then we also use it. So with that directory, we are putting a file effectively in that directory. And then we are putting another folder in that directory. So if we take a look at all of these, let's see what it does. Hey, Bastian, good to see you. All right. There we go. Yep. I think we just clicky click and see what happens. Okay, we got handles, kind, name, kind, name. Okay, so like it seems to be working, at least in this. We might want to try a release build just to double check. But it's fine for right now. Create sync access handle and then text encoders. So all of these bits are going to be the stuff we need to do to write it into the actual file. That's why having this is a lower level API. So I would probably end up putting this all into like a function and or like combining it into a library. Brian Elves, how do here? Let's poppy the thing up. How do you remove the context menu permanently if you want to depend on the front end or even inject a script at startup in Rust with the start method? If you wow. Apparently I didn't get enough sleep last night. If you click quickly, it still appears. Context menu, which do you mean like when you're typing into a form, that context menu? Or are we talking something else? I think I'm gonna need a little bit more context on what context menu means. The jokes aren't gonna get better. If you're all here for good jokes, you're welcome. Okay. I think we probably just copy and paste these bits. So there's synchronous methods. We can write content, write the content of a buffer into the file. Read, truncate, flush, and close. We can also list the contents. So we could do this. This will give us, we have directory handles. Oh, okay. So this would be directory handle, which we do have. So let's go ahead and do this just to log it out and see what we're working with here. Oop. And that will be name of directory handle. Oh, directory get OPFS get directory. Okay, so it's not actually doing the interesting. For type, did you forget to use await? Okay, so we await OPFS root get directory handle, and that gives us a file system directory handle. Then it must have a simple async iterator method that returns an async iterator. So is that not? What is directory handle? So this is removing. The file system directory handle is an async iterator. Directory handle is a file system directory handle. So file system directory handle. It could just be that that's out of date. We can give it a shot and just see what happens. Yeah, okay. I think TypeScript is not, whatever version of stuff I have doesn't seem to be caught up to that yet. Okay, so we can like iterate through everything in there. So we get kind of it is kind of like a file system, but like where the heck is it stored? So functionally, it feels like this might be nicer to use over, like if you're talking more like blob string type content and you're not talking something that makes sense in a database, I could see using this over like IndexedDB. I suspect folks are doing similar bits with local storage where they're dumping in a whole big string content. This might be more appropriate. But more blob storagey than it is structured values. Potentially at a performance. I mean these feel like they're a little bit contradictory. Because there's where did it say no? It says operations are slow. It is not so noticeable when you're making small text updates, but if you're doing a lot, such as a SQLite database, don't use it. Is what I'm understanding here. So it feels like it meets a specific use case that wasn't well met before, like this blobby type storage that you write to at some reasonable frequency, but not something like SQLite where you're writing to it a lot. Darth, you might actually want to check for WaterFox out. It's a full forked Firefox now. Interesting. Windows, Mac, Linux, Android. It was first developed to take Firefox to 64-bit. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll give it a go, or I'll give it a look at least. I don't know. I'm not like hard set on anything. I don't feel like any browser out there is really catching my attention in a way that I would want to immediately jump on it. And so much of my life is stored in a browser context. It's not easy to like make a big change. I mean, I said I switched to Arc. I still open up Edge. I still have a bunch of tabs and things that I'm looking at in Edge. And then, like I said, I still have Chrome. So like, my ideal is definitely one browser. I don't ever see that happening at this point, but you know. All right, so the OPFS appears to work. I mean, we could write some content to it, like whatever. We would be able to see it work, but we're getting handles and everything to it. And I don't really care about like doing something like that. Let's try a release build just to see. I think we should be able to just run a build, and then if we run it directly, I think that'll be enough to test. Yes, fine, whatever. TypeScript. I expect an error, even though you think it should be an error. It doesn't appear to be an error. There, are you okay with it? Okay, just ignore. There's not a. Okay, whatever. I don't really care. And then I guess we need React in here. Export to full tap. Oh, interesting. I mean, this is JSX, right? Like, why is that not a problem? Whatever. Hopefully this works. I probably should have. We'll try dev build real quick after this is done, just to make sure I didn't break anything when I was deleting those bits. But okay, there's the OPFS. This isn't, like I said, this is a newer API. Can we find a I don't know if you can hear that, but my computer fan spun up real good. Related links, spec repo. It says there's oh, this is kind of cool. So this is a Chrome extension that lets you look at the OPFS. I'm presuming they're like you'd open, yeah, it's a separate tab, so you'd open it up for like a specific site. So it's not going to let you like look at different contexts or whatever. But if you have TS-lint issues, I mean, honestly, I could fix it or ignore it or whatever. But like I just did a create Tauri app, and I'm just using whatever it gave me. So for context, Bastion is talking about updating this. It is already. You said ESX. It is. I don't think it comes with. I don't think we do anything with ESLint, but TypeScript doesn't seem terribly up to date. I think that comes from TypeScript. I think that is. I don't see types React. I don't know if that would be a type that comes out of TypeScript itself or if it comes out of React. I honestly don't know offhand. But either way, both of those are slightly out of date. If we actually wanted to fix it, I probably would update one of those. But like, I just want to. It clearly works. I don't need the type safety right now. So whatever. What is the extension? Yeah. That is Dependy. It used to be something else. It looks like they have some sort of business behind it now. I can't comment specifically on that, but wherever the button is, copy. VS Code extension, yes. Oh, wow, that's a lot. Here, let's just do the Marketplace app. Link, right there. There. I mean, it works well. It does cover everything that we talk about in the stream, which is nice. And honestly, for the most part, that's how I do most of my updates now, because I can just hover over it and it gives me links and stuff. It tells me when stuff is out of date. That's managing it this way seems to provide a better experience for me as compared to running something like an npm update or any of those like CLI commands, because I can pick and choose and like have that additional context. Like I specifically want to update to 18, like the latest 18. It's not as easy to grab that context from like a CLI or whatever. I mean, you could probably do it. This just feels faster to me, so Okay. TS expect. Those are fine. We got a build. Let's give it a run real quick just to make sure I didn't break anything. And then we still need to. We're putting a pin in it. Let's see what kind of browser support it has. Well, we're going to double check on that. But so this is the dev version. We still get handles. It appears to still be working. Use Dependy also, great extension. Yeah. Like I said, it's that extension in general has been around for a while. When they became a company or whatever that context is, the extension changed. So like the same team, as far as I understand, is still working on it. It's just they put a company around it now. So I honestly don't know what they do or what the context of that is. But like the extension continues to work, so cool. Let us try. We're going to open in Explorer, and we're going to go to the target directory. And we just did a release build, so we should be able to just run this. And now, like if you do right click, you can see we don't have any context here, which kind of sucks because we're actually kind of dependent on that. How do we have a good way to see that it's working or not? Okay. This is don't do this at home, folks. I think this will work fine. Let's run it in dev real quick and then we'll do a release build. So we click this, it's going to pop up every time. Okay, maybe that's not going to work then. I don't have that many. Why isn't continuing? It's like my clicking just stopped working. Okay, we'll do this just to make certain something's changing. JSON.stringify and there we go. You meant to ask before, have you tried to use barrier or dust flow? Land mouse. Man, I need to like move this monitor or something. Land mouse for sharing mouse keys clipboard across Windows, Mac, and Linux should be making streaming chat easier. I don't know that I've heard of those. I don't know that I would have a specific use case for them. I've got a setup that is fine. Okay, KVM. My keyboard has a Bluetooth, and both my Mac and my Windows support Bluetooth, so I just use that to switch between them. If I didn't have that, I probably would look at a KVM for the mouse or mouse and keyboard at least. I've got separate mouses, so I use this on Mac, and just got a mouse for Windows. That works fine enough. I like the gestures on Mac, which is why I ended up going with the magic, whatever they call it, magic mouse pad or whatever it is. I am starting to feel it like in my hand though. You know, like if you're at that age where you wake up in the morning and you just something hurts because you're just that age now, you might have similar feelings where like if you're using, you know, it's like the stress kind of repeated stress kind of thing. I do get that a little bit with the magic mouse pad thing, which makes me consider just switching back to a mouse. But either way, okay, so now, all right. Okay, so it is actually like continuing. Do we just have that many of them? Wait till you get to the baby powder. Okay, it did actually finish. Let's check the actual build. Baby powder in what context? We've got kids, so like. But honestly, we didn't actually use baby powder that much. There was a different cream that we used that seems to work really well. Yeah, get it. I mean, I'm on the older end of millennial, I think, if I remember my generations right. Yeah. Yep. Don't get old, folks. Okay, so that's not showing anymore. And we're getting, okay, so this all appears to still work fine. We're, like it mentioned before, we're not going to have any like real direct access to it. Okay, so it does seem to like get stuck, which is odd. G2, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by as always. I am curious why this is not continuing, but like whatever. It's fine. It appears to work. I think I'm good in I've confirmed enough that I feel confident about that. Here, let's finish this digression. So desktop flow lets you share one mouse and keyboard between multiple computers. It's like software KVM but without video. Yeah, I mean honestly, I've got enough desk that I almost prefer having multiple mousing / keyboard options. Because I'll be doing the work thing and on a video call and like sharing my screen or whatever. Sometimes it's nice to answer a message or open something else up on a separate computer, and having a separate mouse and keyboard for that. I actually like that. Then I don't have to like remember to continue switching context back and forth. And my monitors are right next to each other, so it's not the end of the world. So I haven't specifically found a need for at least a KVM between these two computers. Everything else I do is either with SSH, whatever boxes I got on my network, and the what is it? Rust desk. So I've got I guess it's actually turned off right now, but I've got a old Windows computer in the basement, Rust desk. That is video though. What's nice is it also works on my phone. I've got a phone app. I don't use most of this stuff though. Effectively, I think it's like the self-hosted version, so it's all like local to my network, which is nice. Okay, work-life balance. I mean, I work a lot, but not all of it is like work. So like all the open source stuff I do is pretty much like my free time. My hobby, I don't do the sports ball stuff. Yeah, so Rust Dusk is like video KVM. Or it's more like RDP, remote desktop. But yeah, I don't do the sports ball watching, or I'm not a big like hunting or fishing or any of those things. I do like some of the outdoor activities, but also I live in Wisconsin, so I like kayaking. I can only go kayaking so many times during the year, and also weather dependent. So open source ends up being my and video. This is basically my free time spending with y'all. Okay. Anyways, I think this is. Oh, we wanted to double check. Do they have a note on where this, or like what browsers support this so far? Because we are on Windows right now, which means when running it in Tauri, we're technically using like WebView 2, which is equivalent to Edge, ish. Being a little hand wavy, but we'll call it Edge. The problem is like this link is broken. So they don't have a browser compatibility. I mean, we could go to the Filesystem API, and that might have something. there are more than one file system API, and that's probably the next thing that we're going to take a peek at. Your browser compatibility. So this is file system sync access handle. I don't remember what. I guess this is all of them. So this is the guide for it. We are using the get directory, get file handle, and the so this extends the file system. Oh, the file pickers. Yeah, file picker methods. So there's the we can store data on the user's system, sort of like in the browser context effectively. And we can either prompt them to sort of handle some of that file management on their own. I mean, they still have to like work through the app, but like they might have some input onto like how they want to structure their data. Or we could just do it kind of in the background, like hard code the file names and everything. So if we look at browser compatibility, like file system handle it has some support. Move isn't a big deal. It's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. Request permission is experimental and not supported on Firefox. So that would be fine in the context of Tauri because nothing is really using the Firefox APIs at the moment. So get file. This all still seems supported. I guess the other thing too is the web view on Android, web view on iOS. So we can't get permission for those. So like if you were doing a Tauri API that was supporting desktop and mobile, it's looking like you'd end up having to do multiple implementations because there's nothing you wouldn't be able to do this API and have it work in the browser in a desktop Tauri app and a mobile. But you can't use all Tauri APIs because then the web app version would not have the support. It would be nice to have a similar table for features that are available for Tauri. I think we can't treat it as some normal browsers, so we really don't know what. Yes, there is. I was actually looking for that the other day. We did have a few things. For the most part, what is in the web view is like the system web view is going to be like it's going to have that same support profile that like Edge and Safari do. The WebKit GTK starts to get a little bit iffy, but you can mostly look at those and get an idea of. So like in this case, request permission is going to give us troubles everywhere. And so like the file system directory handle, some of these like higher level ones, if we have the permission to do it, looks like we can write and read. So presuming we have permissions to do these bits, like how do you experimental expect behavior? How do you get permission if you can't, if requesting is I guess you might have to like handle your own way to ask for permission for it. But yes, there is. Let's see if we can find it. I was looking for it the other day. We did make a table through So I guess there's two bits here. Is it actually going to be the thing that I'm trying to remember? Is it posted on the site and is it maintained? So two issues. Hey Nicola, good to see you. Did the 3D work? I wasn't paying attention. I've moved it like everything around it. I think I've fixed it all, but I'm not confident. You're currently using RocksDB, super performant. Interesting. We'll have to poke at that in a minute, or peek at it rather. Where is the compatibility? Do I have? Doesn't work. Doesn't work, really? Oh man. Really? I thought I fixed it. I might have actually disabled it and forgot to put it back in the main scene. Okay. Duly noted. The drop should work though. I think drop. I need to fix hide actually, but I think power up and drop should still work. And then we got here. We'll do it this way. That's as 3D as we're gonna get. Apparently at the moment. I think I might have disabled it because I want to do the 3D is we're on a tangent now. The 3D text is not in the physics scene, I believe. That thing that just popped up and the drop are all in the same physics scene, so they would interact with each other. So if I happen to highlight when you do a drop, they would like run into each other. Your favorite gizmo. Boop. Yes. Speaking of WebGL and 3D things, I got a 3D printer, so I've been messing around with things a little bit more. Anyway, with the little bit of time off that I've had, I've been trying to fix this stuff up a little bit because I also find it fun. Okay, I am not finding this. Did we completely get rid of it? We might have just like lost it in the context of updating everything to the new version of like the new website. It might not have actually come over in the process. I can't remember if this search is still current for the old one. It seems table. Debugging. We had one at a while. I mean, I might actually be thinking prior to V1. Building testing. I'm not seeing it at all. Where? Okay. I don't have Discord up. Okay. 1 minute. Let me search in Discord. I just got to pull it up on another screen. I wasn't sure what was visible or not. in this, the searches do end up searching private stuff. So we did, long story short, we did have something at some point. MDM has since added can I use is what I'm thinking of. I just remembered the site. Can I use? So if you haven't used it before, can I use.com? For web dev, if you're in the web dev industry and you are looking at any API that's like reasonably new, being able to look it up on here is super nice. So like we can look at OPFS, origin. All right, let's try file API, file system access, and it's got all of the it's got all the tables, and then it goes backwards too, which is really nice. And you can get all of this like deeper context of, especially if you're like trying to support Electron tends to, or anything with like embedded Chromium or embedded anything that's not evergreen. I mean, like 131 folks are probably going to be on that. Maybe not quite yet. Maybe it'll be on like 130. So like having that context here is kind of nice because you can see like when it was released, how recent, this one 5 was released in 2010 and 130 was released in 2024. And you can see like the usage of some of these. So like speaking of browsers, and which browser you use, there is like Opera Mini. IE apparently is still has a global usage of 0.37. And like Opera Mini's got a global usage of 0.04. So IE is equivalent to Opera Mini as far as usage goes. But here, like you can see Chrome for Android and Chrome. There's still a lot of folks, using mobile. What would be the web? This is like any of the APIs. I think it covers like all of them. I don't know if they specifically say. As far as I know, it handles everything. So like you could look up WebGL and WebGPU stuff. So if you're curious about WebGPU support, and then you can there's like permalinks to these, link to just this feature, and then there's is it this one? Yeah, links to the drafts, and there's also like so here we can do percent of users tracked desktop. And you can see the global. We can also filter if we only care about the JS APIs and we don't want to, try to wade through CSS or otherwise search in a way that's not going to list all the like specific bits. And then they have all the like additional context, known issues, and resources and stuff. I thought there was a way that we could. I guess it's just. I was thinking of the permalink then. This is kind of cool too. So you can see like when stuff was released relatively. But what I wanted to look at was, hey, Dangel, do you remember when we made the can I use compatibility table for Tauri? Was that like pre V1? Is that not current anymore? Have I just like not happened to look at that for that long? HTML5 test. What is that? HTML5test.com. No, we had a so that's even before. Okay. There's I guess there's two bits here. That is actually a very good thing to call out. This wasn't what I was thinking of. There is this thing that I'll come back in a sec. Let me explain this real quick. This is a thing that runs in your browser. You can open this up in whatever, and it will tell you what it supports. For context, what Dangel is talking about is there was a example in Rye, I believe, which is effectively just opening this up. And that was a quick way to be able to see like, what's all supported. We're effectively running this code in a Rye window, and that'll tell us on whatever platform you open it up what the web view support is. So that's a quick way to like check. So if you want to just test in your own Tauri app or whatever too, you can basically just like open this up as a separate window or whatever. That being said, the thing I was thinking about was there at some point somebody made a maybe they did it through this way. Well, okay, I want go away. Go compare browsers. So we'll say like Edge and Safari and Chrome. Was this what they were doing? Yeah, maybe that's it. Because somebody had compiled a link to can I use that had all of the specific things within, that ended up being used in Tauri. So let's do like a file handle. And is there filter? Maybe they got rid of it. Maybe that's why we stopped sharing that. I thought there was a way you could filter it so it only shows you when you're searching, it only shows you the browsers that you have filtered. What's this? Filtered. Show filtered. How do you change that? Currently based on displays a custom set of browsers and versions, currently based on the set default greater than 0.5% usage. The customized look under settings. This is kind of weird. All right. Browser shown. Here we go. I just needed to scroll. Add new set. So if we say Chrome, how do you multi? Okay. Add browser specific rules. Chrome. Okay. Unreleased. Okay. Not all. Ooh, okay. Wow. That I don't know if this is actually the thing I'm thinking about, but web views. Sure, let's just save it. I want to see filtered. Okay, so it doesn't show now, but it must be just stored in my browser. So I don't know that there's a way that we can share that. So I wonder if it is not supported anymore. Web view versions. Copy. Paste. Yes, this is helpful. We don't have this for v2 yet, do we? Okay, the table below maps an OS version of the corresponding, so you can use sites like can I use to figure out specific. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, like the thing I was thinking of, somebody had made, and they might have like updated the website where it's hard to share it now. But somebody had made like it was something like this where you could select Chrome for Android, Safari and iOS, and I think they did something like that. Because then you can search in here and say like web GPU. But see, it's like a refiltering. Yeah, I wonder if the thing I'm thinking about just isn't supported in Can I Use anymore. Yeah. Okay. I'm not just. I'm glad it's not just me that is failing to remember. I suspect what happened was they changed something in here to where the comparison that I recall, like I don't know that you're able to do that anymore. There was something in here where you could like share a link. We had a link to the. I don't really like the. Go away. Go. I don't understand why that gets stuck open. Like you could share a link that was like a short link. Well, not a short link, but like a pre-filtered list where if you went to that list, you could then search for APIs and it would only show APIs that were, or it would update the compatibility table. Like it would update this compatibility table to be filtered to only the things that showed up in the web view. For the web view as an instance of the default browser. Yeah, I think potentially the additional context is the version of WebView is mostly handled by the operating system. It was less so on earlier versions of Edge plus Windows. Like WebView 1, there was like bootstrapping installer scripts that potentially had to be run because it wasn't necessarily inherent to the system. On all like newer systems at this point, I think maybe like as of Windows 11, they're just like installing it because Microsoft is using the WebView quite a bit. So they're just putting it on your system now. And then WebKit GTK is, I mean, it's Linux. The system is yours. You have that freedom, but that also means you have freedom to not have one verso, right? We were just having that conversation about browsers, and I'm not gonna lie that so the context in gel, I was I'm in the market potentially to switch browsers because of I had kind of started switching to Arc, but now Arc seems to not be seeing as much support now. So I was like, Verso is Verso at that point where I could just it wouldn't meet all my needs, but if I can just use it part time, I think that'd be kind of fun. Okay. So I think let's pull up that one example. I'm actually getting to the end of my we're getting to the end of the time that I had allotted for today. GitHub.com/Tauri apps. Not Tauri. I think it was in Rye. I think the example's in Rye. I'll leave you all with that example if I can find it. Web GPU, win it. I didn't realize we had a web GPU test in here. That's cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. Is it in Tauri? I know we had it. I thought we had it like saved. I thought it was a. Is it in the main like API example? So we have this. If you're curious about playing around with all the APIs in a packaged thing, you can run this and it will, give you some indication on how like each of these things work and run and operate together. I don't actually see that HTML5 test anymore. I thought we had it as a separate example that just existed. Multi-window resources. Oh, no. It's not in Winit, is it? Or not Winit, Tau. It's not in Tau, is it? I'm not seeing it, so maybe I won't drop a link to it. I thought we had that HTML5 test as an example that was committed somewhere, but now I'm not seeing it. Reparent, GTK, multi-web view, streaming, custom protocol. Yeah, I'm not seeing it now. It got pruned. Oh, it got pruned a long time ago. Yeah. That too trivial to keep. Yeah, I mean, fair. Like at this point, I think most of the APIs that folks were keen on seeing supported have gotten to the point where they are supported. So the use of these, I think, has waned. But now we're starting to get into some of these like newer APIs. I don't know if it's this big focus on Chrome and Chrome sort of taking the crown for everything now that they can just sort of push through browser APIs that way. But either way, it feels like we're getting a few new APIs that it's nice to look at. Either way, I think the if you look at So let's say file handle. I think this is going to give you enough context where you can get a pretty quick yes or no. You're looking at Safari. You're looking at Safari on iOS and Android browser, I believe. And I mean, like, Safari isn't quite the same as WebKit, and there's not really like we're kind of missing the like the story on Linux is probably the situation where this doesn't represent it very well, and having something like the HTML5 test could potentially be useful. But if you just open up that website in whatever app you have, that would be a way to test it too. Yeah, honestly, like Servo, yes. What can I can't point up close. Pretend my hand extends. In general, I think Servo is going to be interesting, but specifically Servo on Linux, I think is going to. I hope that makes that situation better. But also, like, that is potentially a long time coming, and that's why folks have been exploring Chrome. I don't think it ever is going to make sense to require you to use an embedded anything, but having the way the APIs are set up, it should be option. Like, we should be able to give the option to do these things. We just need folks that are interested in it to put in the effort to continue taking it forward. I think, like, honestly, UA got a like a POC done for CEF, Chrome Embedded. I think somebody just kind of needs to take it over the finish line. I don't know even how far that has come, but I also don't tend to build for Linux personally, so I'm not terribly invested in keeping track of it. Okay, I think that's probably where we're going to call it. I don't know that there was anything else that we want to look at. The OPFS, it seems to be supported. It seems like we can use it within Tauri, and there are other file system APIs, all kind of in the same situation. Well, we'll wrap it up this way. If you are looking at using one of the WebView file system APIs, you are still going to be limited by the same storage quotas and the possibility that that data could disappear. Not with any like direct input from the user. Like, it could just vanish because it's not, it's tied to that quota API, and it's tied to the like the cache. So if the user just happens to clear their cache, they might not understand that the thing that they're clearing can potentially be their data too. So I think any of the browser APIs that you end up using, they can be useful, but not as a long-term storage. So you're still going to have some sort of, you're still going to need some like file. So that either means the user needs to download a file or you put it in a database. In the context of Tauri, Rust and the Rust APIs, or at least the Tauri APIs to interact with the file system through Rust, can potentially serve some of that need because those APIs can speak directly to the operating system. So there is that layer that you need to pass over, WebView to Rust, but then the Rust can write it to the file system. So you have a little bit more direct control over that. And that can potentially serve the purpose of, like what a database might need to. So if we're talking in the context of local first or data ownership, where you want the user to control it and not actually have a separate service running, browser APIs, you're still going to have to kind of give the user the option to press a button to download a file. This is useful, but also can just disappear. Within the Tauri app, the user could then use the Rust APIs, through your the code that you write to save a file to the file system, and shortcut things a little bit that way. But in either case, cool API, more ephemeral than I think is going to be useful if you want to store the data long term. I think that's what it comes down to. It would be nice to have something that's built into the browser that does this, but the problem is security concerns. And I don't think there's a world where that isn't going to live outside a sandbox. So like, in theory, that would be neat, but I think a web browser is always going to at some point be tied to either direct user interaction to download and upload a file, or working with some external system that saves it for you. In the case of Tauri, the Rust backend of Tauri can be that separate system for you. I think that's where we're gonna leave it. Next week, Android. We're gonna effectively do the equivalent of what we did. Was it 2 weeks ago now for iOS? Except we're gonna do it I'm gonna do it on my Windows box, and we're gonna do Android. Theoretically, I could do also Mac and Android, but whatever. So press the buttons, subscribe, hit the notifications, and we'll see you next week for that. And that might end up closing out the year. We'll see. But yes, Android. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I will see you next week for Android. Bye.